First up today, we start with the alleged murder for hire plot. Deputies say that this mother was executed in her own bed right next to her 3 kids. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Brown.
And I'm Luann Sorrell. Investigators say the father of those children tried to make it look like a home invasion. Fox 35's Marie Ettinger is live at the Orange County Jail right now. So, Marie, deputies say the suspect went as far as getting his friend to shoot him in the arm in order to cover up this murder.
Yes, he was supposed to be in court today, and we're keeping an eye on that still. Detectives say that Sean Rader and Portia Streeter had a toxic and physically abusive relationship. They said that they argued over their 3 children and infidelity, and even at one point, according to Rader, a $20,000 loan of some sort that Portia, he says, had hidden from him. These two were tense, and eventually, detectives say, he decided to kill her or have her killed. On January 13th of last year, a woman named Portia Streeter was shot 10 times while she was in bed with her 3 children at this Orange County apartment complex. Detectives now say the father of her kids, Sean Range Jr., worked together with his cousin, Benjamin Garman Jr., to kill her and disguise the crime as a home invasion. That news has been spreading through the apartment complex today.
I was just like, oh wow, that's crazy. I have 2 little ones, so I know that would have terrified them.
It was information from neighbors that helped detectives make the arrest more than a year later. Someone in a nearby apartment unit told deputies they'd heard around half a dozen gunshots. That was around 9:30 in the morning, 2 full hours before detectives say Range called 911.
He was asking for help and, starting, knocking at people's doors. So from that standpoint, I, called 911 and let them know, my neighbor had something going on. I was like, oh my God, something really bad happened.
That family asked not to be identified in this story. Originally, Range told detectives someone had forced their way into the apartment, demanding money, then went into the bedroom, kicked his 10-year-old son in the head, and started shooting Streeter in her bed. But detectives say they didn't find evidence of several gunshots Range said happened in the apartment, and they say they found it odd that despite Range describing a fight between him and the suspect, the shooter only hit Streeter. A mountain of video surveillance poked some major holes in the story, too. We're going to be talking a lot more about that video surveillance, who was where at what times, and what was discussed. That's all tonight at 6. Live in Orange County, Marie Ettinger, Fox 35 News.
Portia Streeter was 30 years old, a hairstylist, a mother, working from her apartment, trying to make it. The father of her kids? He decided their custody battle was worth more than her life. So he did something most people can't even imagine. He hired someone to kill her while he watched. In every home, behind every closed door, there's a story waiting to be uncovered. Welcome to Dark Whispers, where we dive deep into the hidden truths of domestic crime and the relationships that turn deadly. If you're drawn to real stories, powerful insights, and the shadows most people avoid, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and step into the whispers they never wanted you to hear. Portia Streeter ran a hairdressing business right out of her apartment in Orange County. Like so many women in our community, she was making it work, doing hair, paying bills, raising her children. She wasn't out here looking for trouble. She was just trying to build something for herself and her kids. Her boyfriend was a man named Son Jr. Range, 32 years old. And here's the thing, they shared children together. This wasn't some random relationship. These 2 people had built a family. They had history. They had babies between them that connected them forever, whether they stayed together or not. But somewhere along the way, things between Portia and Son Jr. fell apart. Moving on, like most breakups where kids are involved, it got complicated. There was a custody dispute, disagreements about the children, who should have them when, where they should be. You know how it goes. What starts as 2 parents trying to figure things out can turn into something ugly real quick. And then there was the money. Son Jr. claimed Portia was hiding money from him. Now, whether that was true or not, we don't know. But in his mind, she was keeping something from him that he felt entitled to. That resentment, it was building. And instead of handling it like a grown man, going through the courts, working it out, co-parenting like adults, Son Jr. decided to go a completely different route. He started planning something that most people wouldn't even consider. Not an argument, not a legal battle. Murder. He was going to have the mother of his children killed, and he was going to make it look like something else entirely. Son Jr. didn't just wake up one morning and decide to do this himself. No, he needed help. He needed someone who would actually pull the trigger, someone who wouldn't hesitate, someone who could make it look believable. Enter Benjamin Garman. Now, we don't know exactly how these two connected or what conversations happened between them, but what we do know is this. Son Jr. Range brought Benjamin Garman into a plan to kill Portia Streeter and stage it as a home invasion. Make it look like some random violence, like someone broke in looking for money or valuables and things went wrong. That way, nobody would suspect Son Jr. He'd just be another victim, another person traumatized by a terrible crime. Think about that for a second. This man was so committed to this plan that he was willing to get shot himself to sell the story. That's how far he was willing to go. He wasn't just orchestrating Portia's death. He was putting himself in the line of fire, literally, to make sure nobody would ever think he had anything to do with it. The plan was set. The pieces were in place. All that was left was to wait for the right moment. January 2024. It was just another night in Portia Streeter's apartment, the place where she worked, where she lived, where she raised her children, a space that should have been safe. Benjamin Garman showed up, and what happened next was brutal. Portia Streeter was shot. Not once, not twice, 10 times. 10 bullets entered her body while she was in her own home. The place where she styled hair and took care of her kids. The place where she should have been protected. And the man who was supposed to love her, the father of her children, was right there. Son Jr. Range was shot too. But his wound? 1 bullet to the upper arm. Enough to bleed. Enough to look like he fought back or got caught in the crossfire. Enough to make him look like a victim, but not enough to kill him. Not even close. When it was over, Portia Streeter was dead on the floor of her own apartment, and Son Jr. Range was alive, wounded, ready to tell whatever story he needed to tell to make this look like a random act of violence. The scene was set. A mother dead. A boyfriend injured. All the signs of a home invasion. Or at least, that's what it was supposed to look like.
Well, 2 years after a deadly shooting, the court case moves forward for the suspect or suspected accomplice of what deputies say was a staged home invasion murder. As West 2's David Jones reports, 2 men were arrested in an Orange County mother's killing, and one has now been transferred into Orange County custody.
Investigators say 30-year-old mother Portia Streeter ran a hairdressing business from her apartment, which became a crime scene in January 2024. Deputies responded to find Streeter shot to death and her boyfriend, 32-year-old Son Range Jr., who was shot in his upper arm. A year and some change later, the Orange County Sheriff's Office arrested Range for the killing, saying he orchestrated the whole thing, along with Benjamin Garman, making it all look like a home invasion.
You're now in a situation where you are looking at life in prison.
Criminal defense attorney Trey Flynn, who's unassociated with the case, says the brutal nature of the killing elevates it.
This is a very, very, very serious crime. In this situation, Mr. Garman is alleged to have shot somebody not just 1 time, but 10 times. And what does that mean? That means there's an aggravation there in this sort of homicide case. You're not going to be able to claim self-defense in this sort of situation.
This new mugshot of Garman was taken when he was transferred to Orange County custody. He was previously being held out of county on federal weapons charges, to which he pled guilty.
They executed a search warrant on a residence that he was at after the homicide took place. During that time, they located firearms in the residence, and the federal prosecutors felt, hey, as a convicted felon, as somebody possessing firearms, this is a case that is of interest to us.
Investigators allege Range and Garman set up the home invasion killing because of a custody dispute between Range and Streeter over their shared children, and because Range said Streeter was hiding money from him. David Jones, WESH 2 News.
Well, Garman's arraignment is scheduled for January 26th. We have reached out to the state attorney's office for an update on Range. Of course, we will let you know as soon as we hear back.
Orange County deputies responded to the scene and walked into what appeared to be exactly what son Junior Range wanted them to see: a home invasion, a robbery gone wrong, a tragedy. They found Portia Streeter's body, 30 years old, shot to death in her own apartment. They found son Junior Range with a gunshot wound to his upper arm, playing the role of the traumatized survivor, the grieving boyfriend who just watched the mother of his children get killed in front of him. But here's the thing about investigators. They don't just take things at face value. They look at the details, they ask questions, they notice when things don't add up. And something about this scene didn't sit right. Portia had been shot 10 times. 10. That's not someone panicking during a robbery. That's not someone who broke in looking for money and things escalated. That's execution. That's personal. That's someone who wanted to make absolutely sure she was dead. Son Junior's wound? Clean. 1 shot to the upper arm. Convenient. Not life-threatening. Just enough to make him look like he was part of the violence without actually being in serious danger. Then there was the layout of the scene, the way things were positioned, the way the story was being told. Investigators started piecing it together, and the more they looked, the less it made sense as a random home invasion. But proving it? That was going to take time. They needed evidence. They needed to connect the dots. They needed to figure out who else was involved and how deep this really went. So they started digging, looking into son Junior's background, his relationship with Portia, the custody dispute, the claims about hidden money, his connections, his communications, everything. And slowly, the picture started to come together.